Hello and welcome to Data Planet. I'm Emma Davis, and today's guest is Lauran Hundshamer, Vice President of Enrollment and Marketing at St. Catherine University. Welcome to the show, Lauran.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And joining us from the loft of her tiny home, which is beautiful. So to start, let's talk about St. Catherine University. Just where are you located? Who are your students, and what's different about you guys as a university?
Yeah, absolutely. We are located in St. Paul, Minnesota. We're right in the middle of Highland Park, which is an incredible, beautiful area of St. Paul. I'm a St. Paul girl myself. I grew up in Como Park, just 2 minutes over. And we are an all women's university, Catholic university. And I always have to say this because it's such a connection to me and St. Kate's. But my grandmother was a grad in 1935, and my aunt was a grad in 76. She's celebrating 50 years this year, which is pretty cool. And my sister was a graduate in 1990. So I was a big disappointment to my family and went to a different university. But I still have just wonderful connections. And we are really a health science and nursing school. We do offer, obviously, liberal arts, which is incredibly important to our college students, and also business degrees. But we tend to be very focused on our health science and nursing programs here at St. Kate's.
Okay, cool. And obviously the programs, if you have that focus, that's a draw for people. But I want to talk about, because when you and I first met, I had questions about just like an all women's college experience, and it's a Catholic school. And so I'm like, the first thing that comes to mind is like, it's a bunch of nuns, but that doesn't sound like that's actually what the
No,
student body looks like. So can you talk a little bit about what the student body looks like there?
we are an incredibly diverse campus. I think what's kind of funny is you say that, and not long ago, a lot of our courses, a lot of our programs are still being run by nuns. So my sister was a student here at St. Kate's back in the late 80s, early 90s. Now I'm really dating myself too, but she's my older sister.
Your much older
So
sister. Yes,
my
yes.
much older, she'll love it when she hears this. She will just die. Um, but there were still nuns teaching her courses back then. So, but our demographics are incredibly diverse. We have a 51% BIPOC rate at St. Kate's. We also have over 50% first generation um, student population here at St. Kate's as well. So the demographics are incredibly diverse. Um, we actually have a very large Muslim population here at St. Kate's as well. And it just adds to the richness of the campus. It's not, it's not, I think, what people thought it was back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And I think what's really important, especially, and I think this is where the diversity comes in, is we have a lot of we have a very diverse, I keep saying diverse, but it's so true,
Mhm.
population here in the Twin Cities, right? And we've been ranked the number one upward mobility school in the state of Minnesota. So a
Wow.
student can come in and have very low family income. And when they graduate and get a job, usually in the health sciences and nursing fields, obviously they're able to make a lot more money than what they came in as with their family income. And what that helps to do is they go back to their communities, they go back to their families, and then they help them as well. So it's this beautiful kind of full circle moment at St. Kate's that is very incredible to be a part of.
And so the large Muslim population at a Catholic school, can you talk a little bit about, like, is religion part of the school? Is it more a spirituality? Is it like a morality? Like, how does that work at St. Kate's?
Yeah, I think it's all of those things. Um, but Catholicism isn't something that's forced upon any of our students. They come from very different religious backgrounds. And I think that they still have to take a theology course at their within all of the programs that we have. It's still mandated that they take a theology course. However, I think the it's it's just kind of this wonderfully intertwined community. And so you have Catholics, you have Lutherans, you have Muslim students, you have Hindu students. One of our student ambassadors is actually Hindu, and she talks all the time. We have her at a lot of our student events, our new student events, and she speaks all the time about how incredible the campus is when it comes to integrating whatever religion you bring to campus. It's non-discriminatory in any way, shape, or form. And the ecosystem that kind of lives within those religious communities, again, is very much carried throughout all of campus.
It's beautiful. So faith is a part of it is celebrated
Absolutely.
there, but it's
Hmm.
non-discriminatory faith. It's
Absolutely.
just
It's not just one faith. You could be
yeah,
any faith. And again, every faith is celebrated. Yeah.
yeah. That's beautiful. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's switch gears a little bit away from talking about St. Catherine University as a whole and talk a little bit about you and your role there. So you're VP of Enrollment and Marketing. Um, what are some of your measures of success? What are you looking at in order to make your decisions and prioritize what you want to spend budget, time, resources on?
Mhm. I mean, at the end of the day, it is always going to be student population. How are we recruiting students to enroll at St. Kate's? St. Kate's it has our value proposition is a little bit different, obviously, because we're an all women's college. But we still offer things like computer science and I think programs that in the past has been very, very male centric, right? And so it's a wonderful thing to be able to recruit all of these different programs, and they're not just heavily reliant on men. You can sit in a classroom and have conversations with your peers, and it hits a lot different. You can feel, I think that you can feel a lot more safe in classrooms to discuss and ask questions. Um, but I think, the biggest KPI, obviously, at the end of the day, is going to be student recruitment and how many students do we enroll. We've got three different verticals. So we've got our College for Women, which is our our very traditional on-campus experience for women. But then we also have our College for Adults and our graduate programs. And you can be any gender and go to our College for Adults and our graduate programs and enroll, I should say. Um, we market very differently to each audience, and because they're just so completely different. Our College for Women, it's like a 3-year long churn. So we're marketing to them as sophomores. If I could, I'd be marketing to them as like seventh graders
Hmm.
because the sooner you can make an impression on these teenagers, I think the more likely they're going to decide to come to you. And so we offer a lot of summer camps, for instance. We offer a CNA course for high school students. So there's a lot of different places that we can connect with them while they're still in high school. In Minnesota, we have a PSEO program, which is post-secondary education, and that is when students who are in high school can come to college for their junior and senior year. They can do it full time, they can do it part time, and it's free to the students. It's taxpayer funded here in Minnesota. But both my kids did it and they loved it. And
Cool.
I will say, that's another way that we can kind of, showcase all of St. Kate's wonderful things as a traditional undergraduate campus. Our College for Adults and our graduate programs, that is really much more, when you think about digital marketing and what's going on, you've got top of funnel with the targeting all the way down to the bottom of the funnel with search engine marketing and pay per click. We do all of those pieces in between. And I will say right now, we've launched CTV about a year and a half ago, and that has
Okay.
been an incredible driver for our College for Adults and graduate programs. Um, it's a huge piece of our marketing plan that I truly believe in. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about enrollment. I look at pieces like our cost per acquisition. What are we doing? What are we spending? What are we getting? What's the return on ad spend? That's another big demo or a big KPI that I look at. Um, but again, it, I will just say this too. I'm gonna go back to the college for adults too. For the longest time in universities, applications was really a driver of KPIs, right? It was a massive KPI. How many applications are you getting? Unfortunately, now that is just so not the case anymore, because you've got direct admission and you've got a very um, uh, standardized application process in the Common App where students can choose all these different universities that they
Yeah.
want to um, apply to, and students are choosing to apply to up to 12 universities now. So we're getting the same application as one of the dozen colleges here in the Twin Cities. Um, and so each one of us are fighting for that one student now. So it's really more about visits. How often do they come to campus? Can we get them to campus? And so that's really a metric that I follow too in our College for Women.
And do you have any responsibility for then like student retention? So are you looking at transfer rates, graduation rates, or is that, that's someone else's department? Because when I think about marketing, it's about, yes, getting the people to convert, but also making sure they're the right people who will stick around and, turn into recurring revenue from the business side, but also really find a home at St. Kate's and have that be a meaningful experience that also contributes to the culture of the university.
Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you, just as a marketer, the lifetime value always pops into my head, and that's so crude when you talk about universities and you're
And a
thinking about
human.
just a person, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. You're thinking about a person.
Yeah.
Uh, but I do think about that. Um, I will tell you that the institutional research department does report up to me, and we look constantly at retention and because it affects your financial budget at the end of the day. I mean, and it affects it down funnel your financial health. So if a student transfers out at spring semester, right, you're losing out on spring semester in the next 3.5 years of tuition, not just that one extra semester. So there's a big kind of roll downhill that we look at. I'm not technically in charge of retention, but I work really, really closely with the person who is. And she uses programs like Starfish to kind of look at red flags. If did they stop going to class? Did they um, are they paying their bills on time, right? So there's a lot of are they not doing well academically? There's a lot of kind of red flags that she can look at and then reach out to them one-on-one to say, "Hey, what's going on? What can we do to help?" and keep them retained and keep them interested in college. I mean, I think the biggest thing is we've got this massive nursing program, right? And it's tough. It is tough to be a nurse. And there are a lot of students who, I don't want to say a lot of students, but there's many students who get to the point where now they're going to enter the nursing program and maybe um, they're not as proficient as they should be. And so then they have to transfer to a different program. I
Mm.
think that's our biggest challenge is do we have a program available for them to transfer to, or are they going to just look somewhere else to go to a different class? But yeah, that lifetime value is really important, especially when you think of the revenue, from year to year, you're raising your tuition and those same students are not getting an additional raise in their institutional aid. So
Hmm.
that's where the revenue kind of starts to build on yourself and you can create that budget at the university.
Yeah. And when you're trying to reach those students, so I was thinking about this first with the undergraduate programs, but then also the college for adults and graduate programs as well. You talked about connected TV being a huge driver right now and very exciting. Um, is the messaging about trying to introduce to people this notion of like this is an option and maybe it's something you should consider so that that can build in your mind, or is it about understanding there's some subset of the population where like those are our people and we just want to connect to them and make sure we're speaking to them? Is it about trying to convert a certain part of the population to considering this, or just like we want to resonate with the people who we know are those are our people, and if we can get in front of them, they're coming here.
Yeah, it is all about those rare people. We target and segment constantly. So whether it's CTV or any of our display, any of our or our targeted ads, we segment and we target constantly. I think that's what's so great about CTV is it's not just kind of you're buying a 6 p.m. slot during Wheel of Fortune and you're thinking that those are your people. It is literally the coolest thing about CTV is you can go in and you've got all of your demographics, um, and even your affinity kind of categories, right? And you can go in and literally say, this is who I want to target. And uh, I mean, everybody knows everything about everybody now. And so they know exactly who they need to target. But yeah, I don't waste any money on not knowing who our targets are. It's so, so important to understand who your audience is and where you're going to reach them, period. And otherwise, you're just wasting money. And in this day and age, it's not like, I mean, I love billboards, don't get me wrong. I love billboards, and you can strategically put billboards up where you think your demographic is, right? Um, but I just need my dollars to be as efficient as I possibly can be with them. And then as you kind of grow that algorithm, you see that spend start to go down and the results start to go up. And it's just, I mean, as a marketer, it is such a thing of beauty. It's that I just absolutely love it. I love watching that on my dashboard happen.
Yeah, and especially at a university like St. Kate's, it's not like it's not a situation where, yeah, we're made for anybody. We're just, we're a huge university with broad appeal. It's like, no, we're special and we have an offering that is geared towards a specific subset of people. And so, yeah, that connected TV targeting, and I imagine being able to supplement that with other like programmatic targeting. So, yes, connected TV, but also where else can I find those people and just sort of reinforce this message or maybe introduce here's something else that you might want to consider about St. Kate's and see if this resonates with you. Yeah, I could see that being a really powerful combination and a strategy that's super critical for you as a university, maybe compared to the average or some of the bigger universities out there where like we have a great program for everybody and like anybody might want to come here and we have 50,000 students and at each level like it is important that you're not just reaching every sophomore in high school but looking for the subset of people who may
Yeah.
be a good fit for you.
I think, and we lean really, really heavily into our organic brand.
Hmm.
So I think there are so many times where people will say, well, what is your branding position on this? And we need to run more branding ads. And I say to them, our organic brand is so, so strong. We lean heavily into that when we're recruiting our students. That's why we're known as, the top nursing school in the state of Minnesota, basically. Um, or health science. I mean, sonography is a massive, massive program for us right now. Radiography is a massive program for us, right? Um, Minnesota, like the Twin Cities area too, is only second to Boston for the amount of colleges per capita. So we have so many universities that we're in competition with that we really need to rely one on our brand and on our marketing strategy to bring those students in, regardless of the vertical that they're looking at. And we do a really good job at it. We do. We've seen growth the past 3 years where a lot of universities are seeing big declines. There's less students, there's more seats. It's a supply and demand issue. But I think at the end of the day, our value proposition of being, one of the top women's universities, we were just ranked two as being one of the top universities for women. I think we were ranked number 3 in the country. So, and that's all universities. That's men
Yeah.
and women. And so to be ranked the number third university in the country for women is an incredibly kind of wonderful accomplishment that our
Yeah.
university has attained. Mhm.
Yeah. That's a competitive space. I have a couple
It
friends who
is.
went to women's universities and loved it, had, incredible
Yeah,
experiences and all that. So that's not an easy feat to to be
it's
ranked number
not.
3
No.
among those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, I have one more question. So for listeners who are like, why are they diving so much into connected TV? You and I talked before this about what's working for you, what are you excited about? And you brought up connected TV, which I'm hearing more and more is, just such a huge opportunity. What I'm would love to dive into a little bit is when you were getting started in connected TV, what did that testing look like? Did you set aside, here's a separate testing budget and we're not really sure? Like now it sounds like it's the thing you're most excited about. What did that journey look like to get to the point where it's the thing you're most excited about?
We started with a really small budget. I mean, we really did. And we said, okay, let's test it out. Let's see what we can do. And we started by actually doing it on our own internally. So we used a platform that we could do, that we could use ourselves. And there's another platform out there that we were able to kind of hone in on who our demographics and geographic area was, right? And then we could download all that information and then upload it into this other platform, basically. I know I'm sounding really vague, but that's basically what it is.
No
Um,
names, please. Please don't
I
give
know,
away
I
any.
know,
Yeah.
I'm trying really
Yeah.
hard. But and then we watched it, and I think the hardest part when you're investing money into anything, and this was such a small amount of money. I mean, I think we started out with like $5,000. Nothing, right?
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
when you're marketing a university. It is painful to watch your algorithm try to build up. And you're like, oh, come on, come on. So it took, it probably took 3 weeks before the algorithm kind of caught on. And then we started seeing these results. And then once we started seeing the application, because, clicks are one thing, that's fine. But applications is clearly what drives in that adult market because adults they're doing so much research behind the scenes. Like 80% of them, they they're researching you before they even reach out to contact you about
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to talk to anybody about anything. They want to research it all on their own. So all of a sudden the applications started flowing in and we were just overwhelmed with how well everything had performed. And I'm telling you right now, um, it outperformed any other one, like dollar per dollar, any other case that we were pushing out. Now that said, um, I always like to remind people that they don't just see you one place, right? There's a whole blockchain of ads that they see. This just happened to be the one that they decided to take action on. So, and we can see it throughout our dashboard. Here, they saw a Facebook ad, they saw an Instagram, you know, um, um, influencer. They saw, they searched us out on pay per click and we're all over our website. We're following all those, Google tags and UTMs. Um, at the end of the day, though, that's where they took the action. So we still don't invest a lot of money into it. And we still receive, I mean, it is still like the most actionable thing that we've got. It's incredible. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing some of those insights with me and with our audience. So excited to hear that things are going well for you guys. Let's go ahead and wrap up there. Listeners, if you want to learn more about Lauren and St. Catherine University, details will be in the show notes. But Lauren, thank you so much for joining me today on Data Planet.
Yeah. Thank you so much again for having me, Emma. This was great. It was so much fun. Thank you.